goodness. I am so thrilled to introduce this very, very special guest. He is such an incredible friend of mine. And we've been putting our heads together a lot lately, which I'm so appreciative of, in doing roundtables together, interviews, and collaborations. He is an author, and his book really is incredible. It has to do with just overcoming incredible trauma and changing one's perspective on things in the face of unbelievable adversity. There's so much to say about him. I mean, he's just gone through hell and back. He turns hell into heaven. Don't you? Hell's like, oh my gosh, scared of Seth. So anyway, Seth, bring it on. So happy to have you here.
Oh, thank you so much, Laura. And thank you, Neil, everybody who's here, who's hosting this, who's making this happen. I was saying last night on the live that Augie, Nori, Laura, and I were doing together about how important it is for those who are aware of this stuff at deeper levels to come together and really help one another amplify and magnify the potential and possibilities that we all know we're capable of. Because you know, in this quote unquote community, you could say, if you even call it that, there's like this culture of all these online, I guess, spiritual teachers or whatever you want to call it. There isn't enough unity, but now there's starting to be. Enough people are starting to put aside all the things that they think are important, or, oh, it's about me, and it's more of a we thing. So it's beautiful to be a part of that. And I feel like that's what this is for me, being here with you guys. It's we're all sharing stuff that is just lifting each other up. We're sharing in a way where we're reaffirming things that maybe we know but aren't quite embodying. And my God, thank you, thank you, thank you. So, all right, tonight I'm gonna lead you guys through an experiential talk, almost like a guided meditation. I'm not going to call it a meditation because it's got a very specific purpose in that, you know, as a result of living this life and being these people that we currently are, having gone through all of this social engineering and societal conditioning and all this stuff, has really desensitized us. And it has desensitized us to the degree that the way we view the world, view ourselves, each other, and the world around us is so narrow compared to what we are capable of. And so through all of this conditioning, we have lost our sensitivities. And as soon as you start to feel your sensitivities coming back online, a lot of us are like, oh my God, I don't want to feel it, because, you know, contrary to what people might think or believe, you know, we are both individual and we are collective. So there is a collective pool of unfelt feelings, if you would, that have accumulated, that when an individual truly chooses to be an emissary of what we'll call divine purpose, and they are like, they're all in, that's it, that's all they have any interest of being while they're incarnate, then you begin to activate all of these sensitivities, and you feel this stuff to the degree where you feel, you know, in my case, I feel so much that most don't want to feel, or that they try to bypass and push away. And it can be really, really overwhelming. And for most of my life, it was very overwhelming. But it got to a point where I couldn't run, I couldn't hide, I couldn't ignore what I was feeling at face value. And so I made a decision to feel it. And I literally, like, it was almost like white knuckling it at first. I made a decision that I was going to be fully present and feel all of these feelings that I really didn't want to feel. And I was just going to be present with them no matter what, even if it killed me, even if it meant I had to leave my body and die, because what I was feeling was so strong. It was so intense. And I would cry or freak out or get sad, or like I didn't want to feel it. So I was like, I had a belief that if I feel this, if I really feel it and allow myself to just go all in and let whatever it is that I'm kind of ignoring, let myself feel it fully, it might kill me because it was that intense. And so I made that decision, and I allowed every single bit of everything that I had always avoided or ignored or bypassed. I allowed every bit of me as the person I was at that time and the capabilities I had just to feel with my normal human senses. I let myself feel everything, and it hurt, and it was painful, and it was suffering. It was so much of it wasn't even my own. I felt all my own stuff, which was more than I could deal with. But then I started feeling everybody else's stuff, which was way more than, I mean, I didn't feel like I was capable of it, but I had made that decision that I don't care. If I'm not capable of it, then I'm willing to die, because I am going to feel what is unfelt, because I trust, and I don't know how or why, but I trust that whatever is on the other side of that intensity, of what I'm afraid of what I'm not facing, I trust that it is going to help me become aware of something that I don't even know I'm looking for. I mean, I know I'm looking for something, but I don't know the extent of what it is that I'm looking for. However, I trust it's on the other side of what I'm not feeling. So in doing this, and in relentlessly doing it, just being so focused on whatever it was that I was choosing to not feel, by just feeling it and feeling it and being with it and being with it and not giving up at all. Like it'd be, you know, I'd cry, I'd get sad, it would hurt so much, but then I'd get right back on track. Like, okay, bring it on. Really? Okay, all that's happening, all this, like, okay, keep doing it, keep doing it. And I just stayed with it. And something incredible finally began to happen, because I refused to give up. And we all have the ability to do this. And this is why I'm sharing this with everybody, is because I feel like we've come to a point in the human species evolutionary process where we're being gifted an opportunity above and beyond anything else. But we got to be really willing to step up to the plate and allow it to be what it is. You know, we can't change it unless we change ourselves. And for me, changing myself meant feeling things that I didn't want to feel. So here we are as a species at a time and place where the opportunity to transform from the metaphorical cliche caterpillar into a butterfly is within the conscious knowing of anybody who is choosing to pay attention. Now it's just a matter of the follow through, the commitment. And this is the beautiful part, where we all inspire each other to do this, but ultimately we all know, or we kind of know, or maybe we're coming into the knowing that nobody is going to do for us what we need to do for ourselves. And in knowing that and practicing that, and then seeing the growth, experiencing and feeling the growth that happens, is the greatest gift there ever could be, to the degree that all the pain and suffering and everything that we've felt all along the way, you wouldn't change any of it. You are just, you literally, you see it all for exactly what it is, in that it was meant to be. It was all perfect. It was everything that needed to happen to push you as this individual being that you are, but with your own unique individual identity and awareness and gifts and skills, but that is totally unified with everybody and everything. And everything that happened was to get you to that point where you really stood up and took responsibility for everything that life was presenting to you in a way where it unlocked the parts of you that were stuck, the parts of you that were in limitation, the parts of you that were afraid of what it is you truly are. Because now we're looking at the world all around us, and we were talking about this last night a little bit. We've got to this point that is so irrational and so insane from a universal perspective and from just a common sense oriented perspective. And that is, we're afraid to die and we're afraid to live. Both. We're afraid of both. And there's nothing wrong with being afraid. In fact, I would go further and say that it is fear that compels us to seek growth. You know, when something really traumatic or extreme happens and it's so painful and you wouldn't ever even want to go through it, it's something so extreme that you wouldn't wish it on anybody, no matter who they are. But when you really take responsibility for what that is and you allow yourself to move through it, you activate all of these sensitivities that you didn't even know that you had. And when you start to exist consciously in this body with all of these sensitivities activated, all this unique gift or set of gifts that each and every one of us have literally just start to become self-evident truths or self-evident realizations. And you just know how to work with them in a way that is in alignment with reality, because this is why we came here to begin with. So, all right, that was a long kind of introduction of what I'm going to be doing. So essentially, it's that I'm going to help everybody activate that which, you know, these dormant sensitivities. We've become so desensitized. So now we're going to start becoming sensitive again. And so everybody listening, this isn't even so much about what I say, okay? So I'm going to say a lot, but don't get too caught up or hung up in the words I'm saying and what you think they mean. Instead, I want you more to focus on the tone of my voice, on the feeling that the tone of my voice and the words that I'm using are having inside of you, because that's where the real medicine is. It isn't me transferring it to you. It's me reminding you of what you already know. And the more you start to feel it, the more you're going to start remembering how to really feel it and how to turn it on. And then you start to become conscious that all these things you were afraid of and that you didn't want to feel, and all these feelings that kept you in limitation, you become conscious that on the other side of them are almost like superpowers. I don't even know what else to call it. You know, we have a set of emotions that we're most used to feeling and being in, but on the other side of those emotions are feelings that there are not even words for. And that is what I'm going to help all of you become conscious of within yourselves, so that you start to remember how to turn them on more frequently. Because when you start turning them on more frequently and more regularly, you get better and better at it. And then all of a sudden, before you know it, you're going to just be doing something and you're going to just have an epiphany or a breakthrough or a realization. And you're going to become conscious that all of this work that you've been doing to feel all this stuff that you either didn't want to feel or were afraid of feeling, or you realize because you chose to feel it unconditionally as it is without feeling the need to change it, you're only choosing to change how you feel it, meaning you're going from a state of fear, a fear of limitation, a fear of not wanting to feel it, to a state of choosing to feel it unconditionally, no matter what. And when you make that choice and you've done it enough times, eventually it starts to happen automatically. It becomes second nature. Then it becomes first nature. And before you know it, it becomes the predominant motivating perceptual factor that exists within your human consciousness. And the person that you temporarily are, that you've been conditioned to be, and all of your wounds and all of your triggers and all the things that hurt and that have held you back, they naturally start to purge themselves on their own, because you are drinking from a deeper well, so to say. You are tuning into the essence of what it is that you always were, that you will be, and that you most especially are right now. And that is that infinite, indescribable energy, that life force, that prana, that chi, that whatever you want to call it, that it isn't a theory, it isn't a philosophy, it is a living consciousness that is in every single one of us. It's causing our heart to beat. It's causing our lungs to breathe. It is allowing us to have this temporary human experience. It is innate, inherent intelligence that is so much more intelligent than the part of us that is stuck in trauma or wounding, that when we choose to start taking the intelligence that we do have with our conditioned human mind and start focusing on this super intelligence that we truly are, that is in every single one of us, then we begin to amplify the potential of that super intelligence that we already are. And when you do that enough times and you keep doing it, eventually it starts to turn itself on and it becomes conscious that you are conscious of it. You're not separate from it. You're not disconnected from it. You're not you and it's not it. It is all one thing, and you are absolutely a unified part of it. However, you are temporarily having an experience where you have forgotten how connected you are, because by forgetting and going through the remembering, you get to step back into a new cycle. You start a new cycle of possibility and potential that can only become manifest through the pain and agony and trauma that so many of us feel. It can only be rebirthed to a potential where there's this new degree of possibility when we really are just willing to unconditionally surrender who we think we are and what we think is happening in the world around us. And we surrender to it by trusting that everything that's happening, no matter how ugly it looks, no matter how scary it can seem, no matter how much it breaks our heart, there is a part of us that knows it is perfect and we love it. And we don't know how or why, but we have made a decision that we are going to love life as it appears unconditionally, no matter what. And we're going to keep doing it over and over and over until we become so conscious of the consciousness that is allowing us to exist in this human form that all degrees of separation begin to dissolve, because they aren't even there anyway. So right now, I just want everybody to breathe deep and rhythmically. Breathe slow, but just deep and rhythmically. And as you're breathing in and out, just kind of do a body scan for any places that you're holding tension and consciously let that tension go to the best that you can. And don't worry about it. You don't need to, you couldn't mess this up if you tried. It's that perfect. So if you feel tension, feeling, let it go. Keep breathing rhythmically. And here's the key. Smile. Smile from your heart. Don't think about what it means. Just smile, because there's a part of yourself that you don't know how you know, but that you know unconditionally loves life exactly as it is, exactly as it's happening. You don't know how, but you know that some way there is a part of you that loves everything that is happening, no matter how much it hurts, no matter how chaotic it appears to be. And you love it so much that that love begins to flood every single aspect of all the tension that you hold anywhere in your body, because you are choosing to turn on a power that is innate, that is inherent in all of us. And that is the power to choose to love your life and your body. And you do it. I said smile because when you smile, you can feel it. Most people, when I ask them to smile, if I tell them feel love, some people will be like, well, I don't know what love feels like. And I'm like, okay, well, smile. And they'll smile. And pretty much everybody has said, yeah, I do. I feel something when I smile. And I'm like, well, what do you feel? They're like, I feel happy. And I said, okay, so guess what? The world has conditioned us and taught us that in order to smile and be happy and feel those feelings, we need something external from us, a person, a place, a thing, a goal, an achievement. We need to accomplish something before we have the right to feel happy. And it's just simply not the way it is. We can literally choose to feel happy for no reason at all other than we are choosing to. And when you realize that the only thing that stands in between you and being happy is yourself, your unwillingness to choose to exercise your ability to feel happiness, then you start to return back to a state of being that is much more in alignment with your common sense, you could say, because real common sense is supported by the great coherent systems that reside within your body, that reside in the physical and non-physical universe all around us. And when you begin to start feeling all of these systems in your body coherently working together like a lush ecosystem in any forest anywhere in the world, the more you feel that, the more you are present with it, the more you allow your consciousness to expand out into what it feels like to be a cell of a giant, living, thriving, healthy microbiome or diverse environment or habitat. The more you let yourself feel that, the more it begins to feel your efforts in feeling it, and the more it starts to charge you up with a feeling that is beyond explanation. And just to give you an idea, when it starts to happen, when you're really doing this and you're feeling it, it feels almost like butterflies in your stomach, or it feels like little chills running down your spine, like little tickles, but in a loving, like cute, innocent, but exciting way. And the more you allow yourself to feel that, the better at feeling it you become. So you're feeling something, you're happy, you're smiling, you're feeling good. Okay, this is where your power begins. The level that you can take it to is entirely up to you. And you also have the support of a community of individuals who know, who have incarnated, who know that we have incarnated to either learn how to or just do it. And that is to love greater than the fear that we feel in the world. We don't know how, but we're doing it. And this is why all of us here together on this conference, this is what we're doing together. Whether it's a spoken agreement or it's an unspoken agreement, it doesn't make any difference. Deep down, we know that we have shown up in this world at these moments to help inspire each other to remember what it is that we truly know, because we do remember deep down, even if we aren't fully conscious of it, even if we aren't hardly conscious of it at all, there is a part of us that remembers that if we do that and we show up together, we leave the triggers at the door. Or even better, if people are throwing triggers at us or doing all this stuff, we're able to embrace it because we love greater, unconditionally love greater than all the fear that exists both within us and together. And those of us who are feeling this are coming together to create more support, to literally create quantum support in the field that supports everybody else who is making a decision to rise above the conditions of their conditioning. You are not alone. You are not alone at all. You have us. We are doing this. You have me. The only reason I exist is because of this. So smile and smile deeper. Keep breathing rhythmically. Smile so much that you literally feel your heart start to glow. And you can do it. All you got to do, okay, when you focus your attention, and this is the marriage, this is the beautiful thing that happens, okay? In your body, you have all these different energies, right? The more predominant ones are your heart energy, your sexual energy, your mind energy. Those are the more predominant ones that we kind of use more often. But we also have all these other energies that are in us. You know, each organ of our body has energy. Every gland in our body has its own unique energetic signature. Our cerebrospinal fluid has its own unique inductance field, an energetic signature that is there. And when we get into a calm, awe-filled state of being, much like we were children before we were wounded, before we were hurt, if we weren't ever hurt, then we begin to become conscious of a part of ourselves that is aware of how all of these different energy signatures in our body work together in coherence, in harmony, in a way that allows us to become even more conscious of all of these great systems that are happening inside of us. And as we start becoming more and more conscious of all these great systems inside of us that are already there, we are amplifying the potential of the energy that's there. Because when you take your heart energy, your sexual energy, your mind energy, and you focus on a specific part of your body, then the combination of all those energies with your focus on that particular part of your body is going to amplify the energy that is already there. And this is the thing, if you keep doing it over and over and over, that energy that you're focusing on in your body, say it's pain, say there's a part of your body that you feel you're sick, or you feel cancer, or you're feeling tons of tension, but you keep focusing on it, and you keep relaxing into it deeper and deeper. If you keep doing it, no matter how much it hurts, no matter how much discord or disharmony or chaos it's creating, if you keep coming back to it, even though you feel all those things, but you keep coming back to it with a mind that has already made its decision, that it doesn't know how, but it knows that it is going to find a way to unconditionally love that which is in its way. At some point, that energy that is in your body, that hurts, that's in pain, is literally the consciousness of God, of the unified field, of reality. And it is a super intelligence, and it is pulsing through every single one of our organs 24/7 with every breath we take. And when we really prioritize creating a relationship with it by attuning ourselves to it, by focusing on it and feeling it and doing it over and over and over, then eventually at some point it becomes conscious that you are conscious of it. And when that happens, whatever that pain is, whatever that blockage, it will begin to dissolve. It will go away, and you will become conscious that it was because you chose to surrender the part of you that was stuck in trauma or fear or pain. You chose to surrender that part of yourself to whatever it is that was causing that. And you chose to choose this, make this choice unconditionally, meaning no matter what it takes, you have made up your mind that you are going to feel it all the way through. And when this super consciousness that can manifest as the most incredible feeling you've ever felt times infinity, or it can manifest as cancer or sickness or disease. It can manifest as anything it wants to, because it is everything. And almost always the things that hurt us the most are really this greater force. It is life teaching us something that if we choose to become committed and devotional enough in learning, it will teach us what we can do in order to more fully integrate the soul that we truly are, the energy that's causing the heart to beat, that's causing all of these miraculous, incomprehensible functions of our body to work together. It allows us to integrate that energy that is already there into our conscious awareness of the person we temporarily believe ourselves to be. And the marriage of the soul to the self allows you to become conscious of anything and everything that you were unconscious of. And the journey, when you begin this and you do this and you keep doing it, it will continue to present things that they're not a test. You might think it's a test. The mind might try to convince you it's a test, but it's not. It's this super conscious intelligence that gives birth to microorganisms, that gives birth to universes, that gave birth to you, to me, to us. This is that energy attempting to teach us what we have the potential to know within ourselves. but we've got to want to be present with it enough in order for that process to begin to complete itself. And I am a living testament. You are a living testament. Everybody here is, we are all living testaments to the reality that there is a super conscious, super organized, super intelligent consciousness that is animating everything that we think is reality, even with our normal, conditioned human senses. It has allowed all of this to exist. And when we view the world, even with our limitation, but with the commitment of knowing that we don't know what we don't know, but we are open to finding out. And no matter how scary that can feel, no matter what is in the way, we are in it to win no matter what. And there isn't anybody or anything that is going to prevent us from more fully or fully completing a chosen incarnated soul self integration. When you have made that commitment and you have chosen to do that, you will activate all of these dormant, desensitized, perceptual energy centers of the mind and body to the degree that you become super conscious of the super consciousness that is allowing us to even exist in the first place. And the marriage of those two forces, those seemingly dualistic forces, you and the source of energy that allows you to exist, when the illusion between those seemingly two separate forces dissipates or goes away or comes together, oh my God. Oh my God. When you begin to remember the feeling of what it is that has allowed the creative energy that has allowed you to even be in this form, the power of the orgasm, except times infinity, the power of the best feeling you could ever imagine times infinity, when that begins to integrate into the conscious human being that you are right now, and you are conscious of that integration, there isn't anybody or anything in this world that can hurt you. And if it is hurting you, then it's just this energy teaching you a new way of mastering yourself, of overcoming the personal and collective limitations that we are all subjected to upon carnation into this world. The worst things there are can teach us the most beautiful lessons, but we got to be the willing students. And we got to be so willing that we are willing to do whatever it takes. And friends, I promise you with my life, that if you can find it within yourself to turn on your ability to love greater than whatever it is that irks you or makes you feel fear, and you exercise that ability, that is you activating your own free will. It is you activating the dormant perceptual energy centers of your physical and non-physical human being. It is you choosing to activate junk DNA and genes and all these aspects of our being that most of us, for the most part, are not living in coherence with. And when you feel what that feels like once, your priorities are going to change really quick. You are going to be smiling most of the time. you're gonna find that, wow, it feels so much better when I'm consciously choosing to be relaxed. And you'll notice when other people around start trolling you or saying terrible things or trying to hurt your feelings, you're going to be like, oh, I'm sorry, are you talking to me? And the reason why is because we, in our own essential nature, are connected to something that is so much greater than all of the things that we have unconsciously or unknowingly, or even karmically, if you want to look at it in that way, have allowed ourselves to be subjected to, that has caused us to temporarily forget how beautiful and how powerful we truly are. But those days are over, because enough of us have incarnated at this time who remember why it is that we've incarnated. And we are going around each other, and we are selflessly bringing attention to each other, the power of intention, the attention of what it is that we are unconscious of, and we're helping each other remain conscious through whatever it is that we have to face, whether it's individually or collectively. There's enough of us who are doing this now that are conscious that we're doing it, to the degree that we have already won. Now we're just riding it out. Now we're just going through the flow, through the wave. We are witnessing mass, what appears to be mass chaos. But remember, that which you witness at face value, this chaos, is a very small, infinitesimal aspect of what it is that is truly pulsing through your veins. The chaos is supported by a level of coherence that is super conscious, and the chaos needs to be there. The coherence, the super intelligence, the super consciousness needs chaos, because it is only through chaos that it itself is able to expand and grow and create new expressions of what it itself is capable of creating. Because as we all know, as above, so below. I don't even know the rest of the sentence, but the micro, the macro, whatever, however you perceive it or however you choose to perceive it, there is one thing going on, and it is going on at all times, in everything, in everyone, no matter how it appears, even in the worst appearances that we see and that we witness. This energy is present and responsible for all of it happening. So how many times do we have to die and reincarnate in order to finally start remembering what it is that we are being called to do, in order to break the cycle of the wheel of life and death once and for all, so that we can be these beautiful beings that we all have the potential to be, and literally create the kind of world that we all know deep down that we want. And I say that time is now. And if I'm going to speak from me, Seth, this being that I temporarily am, that is in a very full place of knowing what it is that is allowing me to exist, and have gone through countless near-death experiences, to the degree where I am so conscious of what is allowing me to exist, that I am in full surrender and full devotion and full service to those who truly want to live in a way where they are embodying this for themselves, period. So keep smiling, Smile bigger than you could ever begin to smile. Smile as much as your face will allow, and then keep smiling beyond that. Feel the feeling of what an unlimited feeling might feel like. Don't think about it. Just let that be what it is that you truly are. Because at some point, each and every one of us are going to find out that that is what it is that we truly are. And when we find that out, we hit ourselves in the head and we say, oh my God, how could I have forgotten? Oh my God. All right, I'm going to reincarnate again, and I'm going to make sure this time I do it. But it's okay, because again, enough of us have done that enough times to remember and to know how to help inspire others to remember. And the beautiful thing is, when an individual remembers what it is that they truly are and why they incarnated, and they begin to feel all of these feelings that are stuck often in our body to the degree that we feel through them, then feelings that we don't even have words for, they're already there. They're already with us, but we begin to become conscious of what they feel like. And we simply choose to give more attention to that than the things that can distract us. And that way, once we get really good at doing that, and again, we're all here to help each other get really good at that. Then when we look at all the things in the world that we don't like, or that most are so afraid of they would never look at, we look at it together, holding hands, loving one another, trusting in each other, and trusting in life enough to look at that which most don't want to look at, and love what most don't even know they're capable of loving, because it isn't us that's doing it. It is what is allowing us to exist, and we know that. We're just there to be together, support the best and encourage the best in one another, and love the unlovable together until the appearance of chaos that it is projecting at us, that might have knocked us off our feet a billion lifetimes, till it no longer does, because we see through the illusion of what it appears to be, because we have focused on the power of what's allowing us to exist enough so that that power is flowing through us. We are the source of free energy. These bodies are the living bioelectric, you could, technology that lets us see, hear, think, feel, smell, intuit beyond anything that anybody is capable of perceiving or conceptualizing or philosophizing. Or this is beyond everything and encompassing of nothing, and that works through you. And when you're conscious of it, you can't help but not love each other. You can't help but not look at a whole bunch of terrible things and say, you know what, you guys, let's find solutions. Oh my God, wait a minute. The solutions are already there. And when enough of us come together in this way, unconditionally supportive of one another, then we begin to amplify and remember the solutions that are self-evident. They're there, they are here, they're already available to us. And it becomes more of just a dance. It's more of a creative, artistic expression than this super serious life and death, fight or flight. That's the old model. That's the old way of being. The new way, you could say, which isn't new at all, it's super ancient and it's super future all at the same time, is us allowing the energy that is animating our being to be the predominant force that allows us to perceive reality. And that who we think we temporarily are is so inconclusively influenced by these infinite miraculous fields that cause us to exist in the first place, that our human self automatically reflects the virtuous aspects of what this energy has the potential to be while we are in these forms. And you just do it naturally. You just do it because you see that none of this is worth getting caught up in. So I'm going to conclude pretty soon here, but I want everybody to just keep smiling, keep breathing. And the takeaway for the night is this: if at any point anything that I said affected you in a way where you felt possibility, where you felt what it is that you truly are, to the degree that it created an override frequency in juxtaposition to the part of you that is stuck in a limited perspective, memorize that feeling. Memorize that feeling. Memorize it to the degree where you consciously choose to keep revisiting how that feeling felt in your body. Because if you do that and you keep doing it enough times over and over, it amplifies it in you. And it gets to a point where it's so incredibly profound that you will fall down in tears of joy and tears of gratitude. You'll be so grateful for all the pain and suffering, for everything that brought you to this point that you're at right now, because you got to that place where you unconditionally chose to love life, no matter how brutal it appears to be at the surface. And again, you keep revisiting that feeling inside of you. You keep choosing to feel that. You will build a new foundation in you that reflects what the systems of your body were truly designed to do. And if you do that enough times, the energy that's already there becomes so amplified that it becomes conscious that you are conscious of it. And when all the systems of your body begin to align like that, then you start to become conscious of all the external systems around you and how they are also aligned with this internal state of alignment. And when you feel that, and you're thinking and feeling and existing and making choices that are coming predominantly from that, you don't care about the Rockefellers. You don't care about none of that. I mean, it doesn't even, you are so in love with life that even if they were around, I guarantee if enough of us do this for long enough, it's going to change them. The environment around you will change as a result of you doing this work. I know. I spent 3 years inside of a supermax federal prison doing this, where Leonard Pelletier, the Native American brother who, anyway, terrible, sad, painful things. And the whole frequency of the prison rose to the degree that guys that you would never think would care about any of this stuff, they felt it. They felt it to the degree where they were like, what is that? When enough people started coming up to me and giving me this feedback, they're like, man, I totally forgot everything I was just thinking when I come near you. What are you doing? And I realized then, I'm like, oh my God, what I'm doing internally is having an external effect. But it isn't me. And so I reminded them, I said, all that's really happening is that I have become conscious of a place that is beyond the pain and suffering that most are stuck in. And you're feeling that same place that exists within you. Now, the difference between you and I is that I have consciously made a choice to keep focusing on this until that's all there is. You haven't made that choice, but you totally can. You know how many of them literally chose to make that choice because the feeling of what it's like to feel feelings that are greater than the greatest feeling you've ever felt times infinity, you're not afraid anymore, or not as much. And when the fear comes, you don't run and hide from it. You look at it like an elder, like a teacher, and you become present with it. And you say, great grandfather, great grandmother, great whatever you, Jesus, Buddha, whatever you want to call or name that which is so far beyond human comprehension that we're not even capable of imagining it on our brightest day. However, we are capable of becoming so consciously attuned to it that it emanates itself through us, and that we're so influenced by that emanation because it feels so good that you just made choices that are going to sustain its presence through you. So I promise you guys, if you do this work and you really commit to it, at some point, you're going to see that it's affecting the world around you. And if enough of us do this together, and I think that's why everything, I know that's why everything is so crazy right now, is because enough of us already have. We've already realized, but enough of us have woken up to the degree where the old systems, they can't do it. They can't exist in that, because the new systems that are coming begin with us being conscious of the potential systems that have lived dormantly within these bodies. So when we get conscious of that and align that, and those systems are a go, then all these other great systems are just going to be self-evident truths that we know how to work with in a way that is totally harmonized with the potential that has always been there. All right. I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to help you feel this to whatever degree you felt it. And the takeaway again, whatever you felt, just keep revisiting it. Keep feeling it. Choose to feel love for no reason at all other than you are choosing to, because that is where power begins.
Oh my gosh, incredible, Seth. So amazing. And what's so awe-inspiring, gosh, it's that you are able to hold this space after all that you went through, that you wrote a book, that you are tireless in your efforts to bring this energy and activation to others. It's just incredible. I mean, talk about major brilliant light and wisdom. And so we have time to take a few questions, but really appreciate that. And you guys, you know, you can replay this. This is what's so cool about this event. You can hit the replay button and re-experience it all. Okay, so let's see here. We got some questions for Seth. And if you do have questions, put it in the Q&A, and just we'll give it a minute or two and see what might show up. And then we have our panel, I believe, in a half hour. I hope I'm correct in saying that. I'm just going to double check.
We do, but I think I only put a 15-minute break just in case we needed it. But I think we can just go right into it after Seth.
Okay, so we have 15 minutes for Q&A for Seth. Is that, do I have
Yep,
that?
exactly.
Okay, all right.
So how about this, Laura? I'm gonna keep my eyes shut. I'm just allowing myself to be what it is that I just gave voice to. And that way the answers that come out will be much more aligned with that rather than with me, with Seth. So if you ask the question, that way I don't have to read it. I can just stay in the
I got
field.
it. I'll totally read it and just stay in the zone. And I do believe this is for you. Okay. In 2004, a fourth marriage and a business in process of speedy dematerialization, I made a concentrated, fearless, and moral inventory of myself. All right, so let me just read that again. In 2004, as a fourth marriage and a business in process of speedy dematerialization, I made a concentrated, fearless, and moral inventory of myself. Moral, that has an E on the end, but I think they mean moral. I put myself in the place of everyone I harmed in my life. I was 56 years old. The steno pads I carried with me were tear-stained, good tears from extremely difficult spaces. I was able to make amends to many, but the process was the most painful and beneficial process of my life to that date. I felt and do feel free. Forgiveness, release, understanding that I was operating at a lower state of consciousness. Wisdom comes from taking responsibility of looking truth in the eye. So it's a beautiful share from John West. And I think it's more just about sharing and hearing your thoughts. It's not really a question.
Yeah, that's more what it's like anyway. There really isn't like a question and answer thing. It's more of a, like I said, it's an art. It's like a dance. How do we interact with one another in a way that reflects the potential that we all have within us? So, but with that said, this person brought up some really important points. It sounded like they went through a lot of pain, a lot of agony, and it doesn't mean that it's going to be like that for everybody. Essentially, from the perspective that I'm aware of, pain is a result of having not been felt for so many countless generations that it accumulates in different ways because it needs different expressions. It has to keep moving. It has to keep going. It has to keep doing what it does. But at some point, when an individual chooses to truly become conscious of what it is that's allowing them to conscious, it means taking responsibility for aspects of yourself that you didn't even know you were capable of taking responsibility for. And that is part of the process, you could say, that enables you to become more conscious of what is allowing you to be conscious. And when you break through the barrier or limitation that could keep you in a spot that can't quite get through, then it's by being present with it enough until it does break through. And when it breaks through, you suddenly have, I guess, like a new tool in your tool belt, you could say, so that you are more readily able to deal with things like that when and if they come up. So the pain in that person's life was a necessary part of their transformation, it sounds like.
Beautiful words. That's awesome. Anybody else? Let's see.
Yeah, if anybody's any questions, like
Shani W. Her question is, I would like to ask him, how did he meet Leonard Peltier?
so he was sentenced to the prison that I went to. Okay, for just so everybody knows, I was offended of a non-violent marijuana crime. I don't advocate drug addiction, anything like that at all. I use cannabinoids I use oral cannabinoids, but mostly they're non-psychoactive ones, CBN, CBD, CBG, CBDA. Those are the ones that I'm more passionate about. I respect THC. I respect the power of it. However, it is a medicine that has been so deeply abused that there's a collective life force attached to it that needs a lot more work before it's a medicine that is really going to be able to help people in the way that it's capable of. So that's a kind of side thing. So my point being, I was in prison for a non-violent marijuana crime. And for whatever reason, I had health issues that were so extreme that, I couldn't eat. I had to eat a really specific diet, or else I would have a flare of it was terrible what would happen. So essentially it was, I could die really fast. It was a life or death situation. So, the judge and my lawyers and everyone were like, well, what happens if he dies? And they're like, well, he shouldn't have broken the law. And then finally the judge agreed, okay, well, we're going to put you in a medical prison. But the Bureau of Prisons, who manage all this stuff, for whatever reason, they messed up the paperwork to put me in a supermax federal penitentiary, which a penitentiary is where they put, it's where the most, you could say, intense people are, the most predatory, violent people are. And this supermax is where they put people who are so violent that they're not able to even be in the penitentiary. And so, and people like Leonard Pelletier, who's not violent at all, he's there because he has essentially a life sentence. And when you get to that situation, I had to find a group that would accept me, that would take me in, because if you get singled out, it can be not too good for yourself. So my initial instinct was to find the Native Americans. And why would I do that? I'm a white, 99% Jewish Ashkenazi, not a Zionist Jew, just for those who can quickly jump to conspiratorial ideas. I have no idea what even my religion is. I learned the most about the Jewish religion from people in prison. That's how little I know about it. But my first instinct was, I saw sweat lodge grounds inside of the federal prison, and they had a fire. And I was just so blown away that that was even there, that I just went to them. And, these are guys that, they have literally knife cuts through their bodies from being in prison fights. Like, these are not guys that you walk up to with open arms, So I went up to them. They're like, what are you doing, white boy? Like that kind of attitude. I had to literally heart and soul reveal, like, look, I'm not here because I'm looking for something to do. I'm here because I might not be Native American blooded, but I am an indigenous soul. I remember, essentially, I just proved my sincerity enough times to guys that don't believe anything. They don't buy it. You can't fool people like this. And they got to the point, and it took a while, it took a long time for them to trust me enough to bring me into their group. And so we did Native American sweat lodge ceremonies every single weekend. And we spent most of our time inside of those grounds, inside of the prison, to the degree where we were all working on each other and praying for each other and getting to know each other deep, 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 and having these ceremonies together to the degree that we changed the energy of everything.
Beautiful, beautiful response.
Also, interestingly, too, I'll mention Wilhelm Reich, for those who have heard of him or know who he is. He died in that prison that I was in. And for those who don't know who he is, one of the most brilliant physicists, scientists, thinkers, philosophers, of our current known, quote unquote, known human history from this perspective. So.
Oh, wow. How interesting, huh?
Yeah.
Well, it looks like, there's one more question here. Hold on. Okay, Seth, what a magical presence and truth. Thank you. What I've been thinking about a lot lately is how so many people are trying to figure out where we are going. But like you said, we will never be able to know where we are going. This story is unraveling and we keep trying to figure it out. We won't know until we are there. And looking at it from that perspective, that knowing, it's like, how can we see everything now versus what we used to know? Blew my mind when I realized this. It makes a lot of sense now. LOL.
That's
Any thoughts
beautiful.
about that before we close?
Yeah. So it's beautiful. That was beautiful. And it's so true. But, and also there's a really simple way of looking at it is, how are we going to know where we're going if we don't know where we are, right? How are we going to master some other world until we first at least attempted to master this one? So it really comes down to, where are we? You know, and for me, it came down to, oh my God, I'm in prison, I'm in hell, I'm in this. And then it's like, wait, am I really? Or is that just the outward appearance of where it looks like I am? Well, if this just is the appearance of where I am and it's not really actually what's happening, what's really actually happening? And bit by bit, I started to become conscious of what it was that was actually happening. And what's happening for each and every one of us is that there's an incomprehensible source of bioelectromagnetic energy that's causing our heart to beat, that's allowing us to form thoughts, that allows us to have feelings. And when we attune ourselves with the purity and potential of that, which each and every one of us is capable of doing, and we all have dormant perceptual centers that are made for just that, when we choose to start turning that stuff on, so suddenly you remember where you are and you remember why you are. And then where do we go? Where do we want to go? You know, I know where I want to go. And I'm magically coming into contact with a lot of people who are like, wow, our visions they're not exactly the same, but they're pretty close. And that's all it takes. It creates this sympathetic resonance, which for those that don't know what that is, if you take a guitar and you hit one string, or any string instrument, you can do it with a piano. If you hit the string on a piano, the other strings around it start to vibrate. We are much like that. When one of us all of a sudden vibrates with the intensity of 1,000,000,000,000 lightning bolts, we're going to set off that same resonant frequency potential in everybody there is, potentially. And when that happens enough times, to the degree that we start becoming really conscious of it, we become conscious of where we are, and then we start making choices that create the kind of future we all want.
Beautiful, Seth. Thank you so much for such an incredible presentation. Absolutely just appreciate and love you, and so grateful for our collaborations and all that we're doing together. Is there a link you want to share with anybody, or anything about where to find you?
It's funny, you'd think I'd be more, I'm in such a place of like,
you have quite a few links. You might
I
want
wrote a
to
book. If anybody wants to read my book, that'd be great.
One of us can do that.
Yeah, I'll put, so I have
do a lot on Cosmic Gaia together, but go ahead.
So I have a spring water company. If you guys want to try literally the best water in the world, we prevented Nestle from getting the spring and destroying it. And it's literally living crystalline spring water that pulses through a coarse granite body with crystal. There's a 52-pound gem morganite crystal. It's insane. So we're the only company in the world that doesn't have to treat the water. So you can support me if you go to tourmalinespring.com. It's in plastic. We tried glass for a long time, but nobody would pay for it. Eventually we're going to get to hemp plastic if these systems continue to be, which they probably won't. You know, new ones will come out of it. But Tourmaline Spring is one where you can find me. And then I wrote a book called The Fight to Enlight, which I never planned on publishing. It was just something I wrote as a form of self-therapy that enough people read and were like, you got to publish it. And I was like, and I did, and I published it. So.
Oh, gosh, when I, my original Facebook, which is no longer, back, I guess 2011, I had Return of the Divine Feminine page. I wrote and I wrote and I wrote, and people were like, you got to save this. You got to put this into a book. And I saved some of it. But it's so funny because I was the same way, or I am the same way. Like, oh man. And I'm still working on trying to put out some of that material, but it's so awesome. You're such an inspiration, Seth. It's so freaking cool. And we'll see you in 15 minutes from now on the panel. So everybody hang tight, get some food, snacks, water, whatever, and meet us back here. Quarter 2,
right.
we are going to be on the panel with all speakers that spoke today. Much love, everybody. See you in just a little bit.
All right. Thank you.
All right, and just a heads up to all the speakers out there, I am trying to set you as a panelist right now, so please do accept the request. I see that we have Dr. Charnel on. Nori, I'm sending you a request right now. Please do accept it. And Dan Winter, I know you're in, brother, but I'm not sure if you're going to join because I know it's late there. So I'm going to send you a request one more time. Let's see if you can join
Isn't he a
us.
speaker tomorrow? Would that be great to have him tonight, though? He didn't speak today, though, right? Or
Oh, I thought we invited everybody for both days.
oh,
Did
perfect.
we or not?
What a gift! What a blessing! I just wanted to say
Yeah.
that just in case, but not to.
Whoever wants to join.
Oh my God, that's awesome. Okay.
Yeah, but I think he's not accepting. He's pretty late over there, maybe in his PJs or something.
Right,
Brother
right.
Seth,
People
that was
think
so
they're not
amazing.
the
Thank you
speaker
so
for
much.
the day. Yeah, they might think if they're not the speaker for the day, they might not be on the panel. But anyway, go ahead.
No, yeah. So I'm letting everybody know here. Yeah, I actually just laid down and listened to you the whole time, and it was like a really deep meditation. So I'm really appreciative.
Good. I'm
Thank
glad.
you.
Usually I'll have people lay
Mhm.
down, but yeah, thank you so much for the kind words. I appreciate that.
Yeah. And Laura, is Elena supposed to join us? Because I don't see her in the room right now.
Yeah, so she might have logged off. I'll check in with her and see if.
Shoot her a text.
But yeah, she.
All right, we got a lot of people waiting for us. Okay.
But we have what, 15 minutes still?
Well, we got. I think. Can we start in like 5 minutes? Is that cool with you?
Oh, okay. I thought it was quarter 2. We were starting. Did I get that
Well,
wrong?
we can wait if you want, but since we have a lot of people waiting in YouTube
Yeah,
already,
you
I think we can just start earlier, right? I don't think it
Yeah.
would matter.
Absolutely, we can totally start. I'm going to keep my camera off just for a little bit. My boys just got home. There's people coming in and out. They're trying to. It's a long story. So if my camera's off, I'm still here, everybody.
I'm gonna
Okay,
run to the
so-
bathroom. I'll be right back.
Sounds good.